Class 11 Indian Economic Development Chapter 8 Infrastructure. What is infrastructure? Infrastructure provides supporting services in the main areas of industrial and agricultural production, domestic and foreign trade and commerce. These services include roads, railways, ports, airports, dams, power stations, oil and gas pipelines. Telecommunication facilities: the country's educational systems, including schools and colleges, health systems, including hospitals, sanitary system, including clean drinking water facilities, and the monetary system, including banks, insurance, and other financial institutions. Some of these facilities have a direct impact on production of goods and services, while others give indirect support by building the social sector of the economy. Some provide Some divide infrastructure into two categories: economic and social. Infrastructure associated with energy, transportation, and communication are included in the former category, whereas those related to education and health and housing are included in the latter. Relevance of infrastructure: infrastructure is the support system on which depends the efficient working of a modern industrial economy. Modern agriculture also largely depends on it for speedy and large-scale transport of seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, and the produce using modern roadways, railways, and shipping facilities. In recent times, agriculture also depends on insurance and banking facilities because of its needs to operate on a very large scale. Infrastructure contributes to economic development of a country both by increasing the productivity of the factors of production and improving the quality of life of its people. Inadequate infrastructure can have multiple adverse effects on health. Improvements in water supply and sanitation have a large impact on reducing morbidity from major waterborne diseases and reducing the severity of disease when it occurs. In addition to the obvious linkage between water and sanitation and health, the quality of transport and communication infrastructure can affect access to health. Air pollution and safety hazards connected to transportation also affect morbidity, particularly in densely populated areas. The state of infrastructure in India. Traditionally, the government has been solely responsible for developing the country's infrastructure, but it was found that the government's investment in infrastructure was inadequate. Today, the private sector by itself and also in joint partnership with the public sector has started playing a very important role in infrastructure development. A majority of our people live in rural areas. Despite so much technical progress in the world, rural women are still using biofuels such as crop reduces, dung, and fuel wood to meet their energy requirement. They walk long distances to fetch fuel, water, and other basic needs. The census 2001 shows that in rural India, only 56% households have an electricity connection and 43% still use kerosene. About 90% of the rural households use biofuels for cooking. Tap water availability is limited to only 24% rural households. About 76% of the population drinks water from open sources such as wells, tanks, ponds, lakes, rivers, canals, etc. Access to improved sanitation in rural area was only 20%. Energy. Energy is a critical aspect of the development process of a nation. It is of course essential for industries. Now it is used on a large scale in agriculture and related areas like production and transportation of fertilizers, pesticides, and farm equipment. It is required in houses for cooking, households, lighting, and heating. Sources of energy. There are commercial and non commercial sources of energy. Commercial sources are coal, petroleum, and electricity as they are bought and sold. Non commercial sources of energy are firewood, agricultural waste, and dried dung. These are non commercial as they are found in nature or forest. While commercial sources of energy are generally exhaustible, non-commercial sources are generally renewable. More than 60% of Indian households depend on traditional sources of energy for meeting their regular cooking and heating needs. Non-conventional sources of energy. Both commercial and non-commercial sources of energy are known as conventional sources of energy. There are three other sources of energy which are commonly termed as non-conventional: solar energy, wind energy, and tidal power. Being a tropical country, India has almost unlimited potential for producing all three types of energy. If some appropriate cost effective technologies that are already available are used, even cheaper technology can be developed. Consumption pattern of commercial energy. At present, commercial energy consumption makes up about 65% of the total energy consumed in India. This includes coal with the largest share of 55%, followed by oil at 31%, natural gas at 11%, and hydro energy at 3%. Non-commercial energy sources consisting of firewood, cow dung, and agricultural waste account for over 30% of the total energy consumption. The critical feature of India's energy sector and its linkages to the economy is the import dependence on crude and petroleum products, which is likely to grow rapidly in the near future. Health. Health is not only absence of disease but also the ability to realize one's potential. It is a yardstick of one's well-being. Health is the holistic process related to the overall growth and development of the nation. Though the 20th century has seen a global transformation in human health unmatched in history, it may be difficult to define the health status of a nation in terms of a single set of measures. Generally, scholars assess people's health by taking into account indicators like infant mortality, maternal mortality rates, life expectancy, and nutrition levels, along with the incidence of communicable and non-communicable diseases. Development of health infrastructure ensures a country of healthy manpower for production of goods and services. In recent times, scholars argue that people are entitled to healthcare facilities. It is the responsibility of the government to ensure the right to healthy living. Health infrastructure includes hospitals, doctors, nurses, and other paramedical professionals, beds, equipments required in hospital, and a well-developed pharmaceutical industry. It is also true that mere presence of health infrastructure is not sufficient to have healthy people. The same should be accessible to all the people. Since the initial stages of planned development, policymakers envisage that no individual should fail to secure medical care, curative and preventive, because of the inability to pay for it. State of health infrastructure. The government has the constitutional obligation to guide and regulate all health related issues such as medical education, adulteration of food, drugs and poisons, medical profession, vital statistics, mental deficiency, and lunacy. The Union government evolves broad policies and plans through the Central Council of Health and Family Welfare. It collects information and renders financial and technical assistance to state governments, union territories, and other bodies for implementation of important health programs in the country. Over the year, India has built up a vast health infrastructure and manpower at different levels. At the village level, a variety of hospitals, technically known as primary health centers (PHCs), has been set up by the government. India's health infrastructure and healthcare is made up of a three-tier system: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary healthcare includes education concerning prevailing health problems and methods of identifying, preventing, and controlling them. Promotion of food supply and proper nutrition and adequate supply of water and basic sanitation, maternal and child health care, immunization against major infectious diseases and injuries, promotion of mental health, and provision of essential drugs. Since independence, there has been a significant expansion in physical provision of health services. During 1951 to 2000, the number of hospitals and dispensaries increased from 9,300 to 43,300 and hospital beds from 1.2 million to 7.2 million. During 1951 to 99, nursing personnel increased from 0.18 to 8.7 lakhs and allopathic doctors from 0.62 to 0.25 lakhs. Expansion of health infrastructures has resulted in the eradication of smallpox, guinea worms, and the near eradication of polio and leprosy. More than 70% of hospitals in India are run by private sector. They control nearly two-fifths of beds available in the hospital. Nearly 60% of dispensaries are run by the same private sector. They provide healthcare for 80% of outpatients and 46% of inpatients. In recent times, private sector has been playing a dominant role in medical education and training, medical technology and diagnostics, manufacture and sale of pharmaceuticals, hospital construction, and the provision of medical services. In 2001 to 2, there were more than 13 lakh medical enterprises employing 22 lakh people. More than 80% of them are single person owned and operated by one person, occasionally employing a hired worker. Scholars point out that the private sector is in India has grown independently without any major regulation. Some private practitioners are not even registered doctors and are known Indian system of medicine (ISM). It includes six systems: Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, Naturopathy, and Homeopathy (Ayush). In short, at present there are 3,004 ISM hospitals, 23,000 dispensaries, and as many as 6,11,431 registered practitioners in India. But little has been done to set up a framework to standardize education to promote research. ISM has a huge potential and can solve a large part of our healthcare problems because they are effective, safe, and is inexpensive. Indicators of health and health infrastructure. A critical appraisal, as pointed out earlier, the health status of a country can be accessed through indicators such as infant mortality and maternal mortality rates, life expectancy and nutritional levels, along with incidence of communicable and non-communicable diseases. Women's health. Women constitute about half the total population in India. They suffer many disadvantages as compared to men in areas of education, participation in economic activities, and healthcare. The deterioration in the child sex ratio in the country from 1945 to 927, as revealed by the census of 2001, points to the growing incidence of female feticide in the country. Close to 3 lakh girls under the age of 15 are not only married but have already born children at least once. More than 50% of married women between the age group of 15 to 49 have anemia and nutritional anemia caused by iron deficiency, which has contributed to 19% of maternal deaths. Abortions are also a major cause of maternal morbidity and mortality in India. Conclusion. Infrastructure, both economic and social, is essential for the development of a country, as a support system is directly influences all economic activities by increasing the productivity of the factors of production and improving the quality of life. In the last 6 decades of independence, India has made considerable progress in building infrastructure. Nevertheless, its distribution is uneven. Many parts of rural India are yet to get good roads, telecommunication facilities, electricity, schools, and hospitals. As India moves towards modernization, the increase in demand for quality infrastructure, keeping in view their environmental impact, will all have to be addressed. The reform policies, by providing various concessions and incentives, aim at attracting the private sector in general and foreign investors in particular. While assessing the two infrastructures, energy and health, it is clear that there is no scope for equal access to infrastructure for all. Health is a vital public good and a basic human right. All citizens can get better health facilities if public health services are decentralized. Success in the long term battle against diseases depends on education and efficient health infrastructure. It is therefore critical to create awareness on health and hygiene and provide efficient systems. The role of telecom and IT sectors cannot be neglected in this process. The effectiveness of healthcare programs also rests on primary healthcare. The ultimate goal should be to help people move towards a better quality of life. There is a sharp divide between the urban and rural healthcare in India. If we continue to ignore this deepening divide, we run the risk of destabilizing the socio-economic fabric of our country. In order to provide basic healthcare to all, accessibility and affordability need to be integrated in a basic healthcare infrastructure.